Yeah, okay, we could do that. We could finish off with a 10 pull. Then hopefully get Dawn. And then if not, we've already seen this, so I'm just gonna skip through it. If not, hopefully we can get enough Dawns in the pull itself that, we just get a Dawn. We can just buy Dawn. We can purchase a Dawn. Go to your local grocery market and buy a Dawn. Purchase one. You want a free-range organic Dawn? That will cost a little bit more. I just want to let you know. That will cost just a bit more. But I honestly, I think it's worth it. If you want a free-range organic Dawn, it is worth it. It is worth it. You just gotta make sure you're buying it from the right farm. Some farms use Dawn pesticides. You don't wanna have those on your Dawn. However, you also don't want to have like bug-bitten Dawns either. So you gotta choose very wisely. You could also skip the grocery store. Sometimes there are Dawn farmers market. I've heard of those before, where you can like the farmers themselves, the farmers that grow the Dawns, just gather and then they just sell the Dawns there. I've heard those are pretty good though. Got one from an N Corp farm and she seems off somehow. Yeah, I've heard that N Corp uses a lot of like GMO Dawns. Like they don't use a lot of like robotics in the growing process. So they instead like compensate that with a lot of GMOs. So though I've heard that N Corp Dawns have a lot more GMOs in them. So I would keep a lookout for that. It's not been confirmed or anything like that, but like that's what I've heard. Also, another thing for future Dawn growers out there, I've heard that growing them near windmills makes them agitated. Something in like the air, or like how it like disrupts the airflow or something like that. Don't grow them near windmills. Don't grow the Dawns near windmills. I've heard it like agitates them. Unless you want like an agitated Dawn. If you want an agitated Dawn, get like a windmill grown Dawn. But like, yeah. That's true. Once you saw a small flock of Dawns crowding around and biting a windmill. True. Windmills agitate the Dawns. I do not recommend getting a windmill near your Dawn. But, you know. W Corp Dawn seemed happy, but once I fostered one, and sometimes she would stop and start crying. True. See, the issue with W Corp Dawns, they're kind of a mixed basket. Because they're grown in such high quantities. They're like industrially grown. They're not like grown on a farm or anything like that. These Dawns are industrially grown on like such a large scale that they're bound to have like a bunch of minor like issues and stuff like that. And like you won't get the quality. You'll more get like a carbon copy. You won't get the quality from like a farm fresh Dawn. You know what I'm saying? What about a small windmill for enrichment? If you got like a small windmill for a Dawn, like one of those little like whirly things, I think that would be fine. I think to like help the Dawn like learn how to play, that'd be a good idea. One of those small little whirly things, yeah. Yeah, I think you can get your Dawn one of those and it won't enrage them too much. Just be careful. Don't make it too big. But yeah, make sure your Dawn gets a lot of sunlight as well. I feel like a lot of people don't let their Dawns get sunlight, and it definitely staggers their growth. It definitely staggers your growth. Dawns are short, like to begin with. You don't want to make your Dawn even shorter. Make sure they get enough sunlight. You don't need to leave them out there. Just make sure they get enough sunlight. Don't let your Dawn see flocks of sheep either. Those enrage them too. Yeah. It brings out like a primal like urge, like in some like evolutionary line, Dawns were like sheepdogs or something like that. So make sure your Dawn does not see a flock of sheep. It will enrage them. But they'll burn? No. The trick is you have to not don't leave your Dawn in the sun. What are you doing? Don't leave them there. But you have to like every so often take your Dawn out in the sunlight. Not for too long, not for like hours, but like just for like maybe like 30 minutes every so often. Let your Dawn get a little bit of sunlight. Not a lot of sunlight, but just enough. They don't like sunblock? True. That is true. If you can find one that does like sunblock, this step will be a lot easier. But like for just like 30 minutes. They should be no taller than Sinclair's, but they shouldn't be noticeably smaller either. True. And they'll become noticeably smaller if you don't let them get like 30 minutes of sunlight. They're burning 5 minutes without their big hat. Well, no. You don't put them on like a tanning bed. You don't like tan the Dawns. You're not trying to cook them, but like bring them outside in like the shade. They don't need to be in direct sunlight, but they can't be inside all day. That's what stunts their growth. It's not necessarily the sunlight itself that helps them grow, but it's them being cooped up inside. They need to be able to be outside. But I will say though, the big hat definitely does help. That's why cheek Dawns are the most ethical. True. That is why they're the most ethical, because they have the big hats and they're allowed to get a little bit of sunlight. Every Sinclair has been domesticated in a lab. Not everyone. There are still a few wild Sinclairs out there. You gotta be careful around those. You gotta be careful. There are still a few. But a majority of the Sinclairs you will find at the supermarket will be domesticated. They will be domesticated. They aren't fed properly though, so they have weak bones. True, yeah. That is the issue with Sinclairs, is a lot of the times, because they're grown so uniformly, a lot of them have, like, weak bones. The sunlight also gives Dawn stars in their eyes. True, that's how they recharge their eyes. That's the sunlight. That's why you'll sometimes see Dawn staring into the sunlight for like a few minutes. It's not dangerous for them. You can allow them to do that. It doesn't hurt their eyes. That's how they charge. That's how they recharge. Yeah, make sure your Dawns are able to recharge their eyes every once in a while. You don't need to do it like frequently. It's not like an everyday thing. But like I would say for like a few minutes of exposure to the sun, I think you could probably get like 2 or 3 weeks of eye sparkle. It does entirely depend on how exciting things are, because if it's more exciting, the Dawn's eyes will sparkle more. So make sure, if you do recharge the eyes, like let's say you're gonna do like a birthday party for someone or something like that, or like you're gonna take your Dawn to like the fair, make sure to let your Dawn recharge their eyes a little bit. The wild Sinclairs still feel guilty while hunting for their food. True. Sinclairs hate being placed near Chromers, but Chromers find it very enriching to be mean to Sinclairs. True. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Chromer farms. I've seen a lot of Chromer farms that like the main thing you need if you want to farm Chromers, the main thing you actually need to buy is Sinclairs. That's gonna be your highest like money cost thing. Yeah, that's where you're gonna probably be spending most of your money. It's just on Sinclairs and Sinclair maintenance. Because Chromers actually don't need a lot of maintenance. They're pretty self-sufficient, like all things considered, in comparison to everyone else. However, the rapid deterioration from Chromers being near... the rapid deterioration for Sinclairs by being near Chromers, you need to make sure that the Sinclairs are, you know, safe still. Because it would suck if you had to buy new Sinclairs. So a lot of the money will be spent on like keeping the Sinclair stable, basically. You can't let Damien's near Chromer farms because they... I think it's funnier if in this little like funny growing things world that Damien's just a guy, like a normal person. Damien's just a normal person. Damiens are not growable, they're just a person. Damien's just a guy. Just a normal human. I mean, that's kind of like comparable to like what Damien is in this game already. Because Damien's like some sort of like deity in this world. So it makes sense that in the world where everyone's like a commodity, that Damien would just be a normal person. Damien is here to free all the Sinclairs? No, oh, ooh. Hold up. Even bigger brain. Damien is a company. Damien is a company, chat. Let me cook. Damien is a company, and their main purchase is Sinclairs. It's Damien Corp. Damien Corp. They are the main purchaser of Sinclairs. Damien Corp. Damien Corporation. The 4th game in the Project Moon trilogy. The Sinclair Rehabilitation Center, Damien Corp. True. Actually, yeah. That Damien Corp provides the Damien Corp is what actually provides all the like the technology and the like resources and like the medicines and the foods that Sinclairs need while dealing with chromers. So if you're growing a chromer, if you're growing a chromer and you need a Sinclair, you will probably need many a phone call with Damien Corp. But yeah, Damien Corp, very, very useful corporation if you're trying to grow a chromer. Still very useful if you're trying to just grow Sinclairs. If you're trying to grow Sinclairs, Damien Corp is still useful. I will say, like, not to like discredit them or anything, they are still a very good corporation for growing normal base Sinclairs. But if you want to grow a chromer, they're also very good for rehabilitation for the Sinclairs, especially if you want to sell those Sinclairs later or use them again. I wonder what like the most expensive thing in this like world, like for each of the sinners is, like, or what they do. Like, what do you have to let the like what does it take to grow a like money? What does it take to grow a smoke? What does it take to grow a bat? Like, that's my question. No, now we've got this whole world where we just, like, grow these people. What is this? I'm just now realizing how, like, crazy this conversation is. Damien Corp will buy back Sinclairs? True. Yeah, they buy back Sinclairs. Well, I mean, the thing is... No, they're not food for chromers. Chromers eat a lot of just, like, bugs. Chromers' main diet's bugs. I don't think they can eat Sinclairs. Their teeth are not formed for that. But no, a lot of the times what happens is that once a Sinclair is done with a chromer, like once a chromer's done with a Sinclair and like is able to be, you know, sold and stuff, that Sinclair does need a lot of rehabilitation, or else they begin to go feral. They actually start believing that they are a chromer, which is kind of crazy. They have this, like, weird, like, symbiotic relationship where they, like, kind of believe that they are a chromer. And you gotta make sure they don't do that, because they could end up hurting themselves like that. They could end up hurting themselves. And that we don't want that. We don't want that. So that's why Damien Corp exists. To make sure the Sinclairs can get rehabilitated. And, yeah. Rodillas get really distressed if the money is removed. Do they have a Alright, I'm trying to think how smart these things are. Rodillas? Sorry if I'm butchering the name. I'm just gonna keep calling them monies. Monies really like shiny objects and, surprisingly enough, poker chips. If you give a Rodilla a little poker chip, they'll treasure that. They actually like play little games with each other for poker chips and shiny coins. Circular shiny objects are very, very important to them. Make sure if you're farming a Rodilla, make sure to give them little shiny coins. They'll grow a lot better. They think that they are a chromer, but also see themselves as Sinclair, so they end up hurting themselves. Yeah, they attack mirrors a lot. It's very concerning behavior. It's not uniform either. Sometimes they see themselves as chromers, sometimes they see everyone else as chromers. It's a very concerning condition, and that's why I'm very glad that Damien Corp exists. Very good corporation. They also are not too costly as well. And, you know, the rehabilitation of Sinclairs, very good for the Sinner ecosystem. Rodias get violent if someone steals their shiny coins? They do, yeah. They also don't like it when someone else has a lot of shiny coins and, like, none of the other Rodias have any shiny coins. When a lot of them don't have shiny coins, they get a little upset. So make sure they're, like, evenly dispersed. When they're not playing with their shiny coins and poker chips, they hide them somewhere safe in their nests. Yes, yeah. It's very interesting behavior as well. What would we do without Damien Corp? True. They are very helpful for the Sinner ecosystem. This is what streaming is all about. True. True. The random intrusive thoughts. Yeah, don't steal Rodea's coins. That is a good way to get yourself bit. You don't want to get bit. It's not very fun. They're not poisonous or venomous or anything like that, but it's just not fun. Not a pleasant experience for either party. Herman Corp has a monopoly on Gregors and raised them all in stressful lab settings, but quite a few have escaped. Yeah. Yeah, that is on the flip side of Damien Corp, you have Herman Corp. Instead of actually caring for their, you know, products, yeah, I really don't condone what Herman Corp does. And if you can find a Gregor, they're a lot rarer, but if you can find a farm-grown Gregor, I do recommend those a lot better. They're usually a lot less stressed. They usually are a lot more happier. I do recommend those. Definitely. But yeah, Herman Corp is like the flip side of Damien Corp. Not good, not good. Also, fun fact. I know there's this common misconception that, like, naturally Gregors, like, hate apples. Like, they won't eat apples. But actually, if you get a farm-grown Gregor, that is not from Herman Corp, they actually tend to enjoy apples, which is pretty interesting. I found that interesting. So something in, like, the process of growing them, something that Herman Corp does in the process of growing them just makes them hate apples. It's a very interesting thing. You guys should definitely read up on that. I read that, and that was very interesting. I didn't know that before. Like, these scientists doing all these studies and stuff, they have some very interesting information. I definitely would recommend you guys look into those, especially if you're considering purchasing a Gregor. I would definitely recommend looking into these studies. Because they do tend to like apples, which I, like, you ask anyone. If someone came out with that information 5 years ago that Gregors like apples, people would laugh at them. People would call them crazy. But now that we actually have done these studies and done these tests, we can find that out. It's crazy. Like, it's the stuff you can learn nowadays, especially, is just insane. Smokes are under exclusive ownership of the hand, and they don't get to raise their young. Yeah, a lot of the conditions for a lot of the different sinners are not that good, and I will say that is definitely why I'm glad for Damien Corp. Damien Corp is great. They're going against almost all the social norms that say they're not allowed to do, like, that these should be grown in labs. These should be discarded. Like, it doesn't really matter. And I think this is very. They're taking a very good approach to farming sinners, and I enjoy that. But they don't even farm them, actually. They just rehabilitate them, which is really cool. And like, they're allowing the farmers themselves to still, you know, make money. They're not taking jobs from them. They're just rehabilitating them, which I think is really great. I think that is a great thing. Yeah, this is a live Damien Corp experience right here, by the way. Live Damien Corp. Yeah, no, Damien Corp is pretty good. I would recommend. But even with Damien Corp, but I would say, even though Damien Corp does exist, and even though Damien Corp is doing great things, still be very cautious while buying a Sinclair, because there still are you still have to be very careful, because a lot of Chromer farmers, not a lot, I will not say it's a lot, but there are a few Chromer farmers, there are a few notorious Chromer farmers that do not take their Sinclairs to Damien Corp afterwards. Some sort of, like, superstition or tradition, I don't know what it is, but they do not take their Sinclairs to Damien Corp afterwards, after raising chromers. And so, and then they just sell those to the supermarkets. They sell them back to the supermarkets. So make sure to be careful when purchasing your Sinclair. When purchasing, because you could end up getting a non-Damien Corp approved Sinclair. They're working with the I don't know what it is, what branch it is. They're working with one of the branches though to get little stamps. They get little stickers. They put this like little stickers, removable stickers. They're gonna put them on like the back of the necks of Sinclairs if they've gone through Damien Corp. So make sure when you're buying, especially from the store and not from a local farmer, if you're buying a Sinclair from the store, make sure they have the little sticker on their back. Don't worry that you can remove it and it doesn't hurt them or anything like that. Just make sure they have that sticker so that shows that they've actually been through Damien Corp. But yeah, make sure they have the little sticker on them. Yeah, that's only if you're buying from store-bought though. If you're buying from a local farmer, it does like, they're not, it like 99% chance they're not gonna have had a previous experience with a chromer. I also recommend don't buy a chromer and a Sinclair at the same time. If you're gonna buy a Sinclair, buy a Sinclair. If you're gonna buy a chromer, buy a chromer. It is not recommended to buy both. That can be a nightmare for a Sinner owner. That could be a nightmare. The amount of paperwork you have to get done for that. You do not recommend buying a Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights Corp. The treatment of them there is awful. True. I have heard rumors. I can't confirm or deny. Oh, hey, we got tickets. Nice. We can trade those tickets in. Let's go. We can actually, hopefully, there's actually this new system. I'm tying this into real world lore now. Tying this into the real lore now. There's actually a new system. I've seen, there's a new, like, it's not a supermarket and it's not like a farmer's market. It's a new way of getting just Sinners. There's like this raffle thing. You use these little raffle tickets and they give you a random Sinner. Now the issue with this, why this might not be as ethical as just buying them straight up and from like a supermarket, and definitely not as ethical as buying them from a farm themselves or from the farmer's market. Because a lot of the times, these raffle companies, they don't check the backgrounds. So they don't check if, let's say, they don't check if a Sinclair has actually been sent to a Damien Corp. Like, I've actually got one Sinclair here who was put with a chromer and then wasn't sent back to Damien Corp, which is very sad. And we're working with Damien Corp right now to rehabilitate them a little bit. But that is a risk you take when you buy from a raffle, because they're a little bit more, you know, out there. So yeah, I do recommend, if you're gonna try to do the raffle, make sure you know what you're getting into. Anyways, I'm gonna try the raffle right now just to show you guys what it's like. Just to show you what it's like. But it is up to your discretion whether you want to buy your Sinners from the supermarket. You can buy them from the supermarket. Or if you want to buy them from the raffle, because you can get them in the raffle too. But sadly, where I am now, there's not really a supermarket near me, so I can't really. There's not a supermarket. There is a supermarket. There is not a farmer's market near me, so I can't show you what it would be like to buy from a farmer's market. But it is a lot better. I do recommend buying from a farmer's market. If there's a local farmer near you, you can buy them straight up as well. But that's the most humane way to do it. That's the most humane way to do it. Anyways, this is how it's like buying from a lottery. Buying a Sinner from a lottery. So they come in these like chain things. I think this is a really inhumane way of transporting Sinners, especially ones grown. But I'll say this is very inhumane. This is like one of the worst ways to get your Sinners, if I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, here. Like here we've got an Ishmael. Here we've got a Ishmael Sinner. This one's actually been injured in travel, which really sucks. This like goes to show you that depending on who you're buying from, some of them care a lot more about their sinners than others, and some of them are totally negligent. And I really feel that we should have more regulation when it comes to, you know, growing sinners and also selling them. Because, yeah, look how stressed she is, and also how injured she is. That shouldn't be allowed. I think we definitely need to help this one get some rehabilitation. And yeah, she looks so uncomfortable. Yeah, like, that's why I'm saying buy from farmers markets. Buy from, like, farmers directly. Like, it is the most humane way of buying sinners. But I do understand a lot of you out there aren't able to buy from farmers markets because they are so far and few in between. We kind of have a lot of the main corporations farming sinners nowadays, and they're not really being farmed by, like, local farmers anymore. So I understand. But in that case, I would recommend buying from grocery stores. Grocery stores are also humane. But one of the main downsides of grocery stores is that a lot of the times, sinners that have been, like, grown improperly or grown in conditions that are, like, not very optimal, they don't get bought. And that is very sad. Like, a lot of the time, sinners grown in, like, unoptimal conditions won't be purchased. And so they'll sit there for a long time. And that's not very nice. That's not very nice, in my opinion. Anyways, we're gonna spend one more on the lottery. Hopefully, we can get one that's been treated a little bit more humanely. Because sometimes farmers sell directly to the lottery as well. So, let's jump right in. Yeah, sadly, they're all packaged the same way. To kind of make sure the raffle is completely, like, anonymous, so you don't know. But yeah. So right here, we've got a smoke. We've got a smoke just a normal smoke. Can't tell if this one's been factory farmed or normal, like, just on a ranch farm. But not bad. Seems very happy in their current habitat, so not going totally awfully. But yeah. True. The stars. Stars also recharge Dawn's eyes, but it takes a little bit longer, I will say. So if you don't want to risk yourself getting sun eye damage, because Dawns don't get sun eye damage, but if you don't want to risk yourself getting sun eye damage, I can definitely understand why you might want to let your Dawn get their sparkle recharge via stars, but it takes a while. But yes, we're gonna do the lottery. This time we're paying, instead of with tickets, we're paying with lunacy, which is an alternate currency they use as well. Hopefully this means we're gonna be getting some farm grown instead, but there's no real way of guaranteeing it. You just gotta hope. It's up to luck. All right. We got ourselves a Sunny. They're not very happy a lot of the times, so try not to give it too much stimulus. Try not to, like, scare it too much. They thrive best in situations where they're just kind of there. Let's see. This time we got another smoke. We got another smoke, which is nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right, second to last pull. Ooh, that seems promising. That seems very promising. Okay, hold up. Okay.
복잡한 건 생략하고 제가 뭘 하면 되나요?
All right. We got a deer Ishmael. Very nice, very nice. Reindeer. See, this is one of the ones that has been grown on a farm in humane conditions. And you can tell because they have the little 3 stars. They have their antlers are forming. A lot of factories cut off Ishmael's horns, and so it's very sad. It's very sad because their natural horns can't form very well, and it is sad. It's sad. I will say, it is very sad. But yeah, see this one thankfully didn't get her horns cut off. This is what they look like normally, so that's very nice. I assume those were only on some types of Ishmael. That's terrible. There is a few there are a few types of, there's like a genetic split for some of them. Some of them don't grow with horns just because so many generations of their horns have been cut off that they just automatically don't grow with them. But there are some factories to this day that still do cut off Ishmael's horns. And it is very inhumane and cruel. I do believe that they should stop doing that. But yeah, I am definitely an advocate for keeping the horns on the Ishmael. They do that because sadly, in the past, before we had a lot of the domestication techniques we have today, a lot of the times, Ishmaels would end up hurting other sinners with their horns out of like self-defense or out of getting too excited. So yeah, that is an issue. So that's why they ended up cutting them. Like it happened like, I don't remember how many, like it was a long time ago, before any of us were born. They started doing this, but thankfully some farmers are now letting their horns grow. So yeah. Is it true that Ishmaels know how to swim instinctively? Yes, it is. They're actually born with that. It's like genetically coded in, which is definitely a good thing to know. It's not the other. Okay, I've seen some people mix this up. I don't know how you mix this up. Heathcliffs cannot swim instinctively. They need a lot of training to swim. For some reason, I guess because they're so close to each other, people assume that Heathcliffs can swim instinctively as well. It's only Ishmaels. Only Ishmaels can swim instinctively. Heathcliffs need a lot of training. I've seen way too many Heathcliffs be put into very dangerous situations because of negligent owners. You definitely need to know the limits and abilities of your sinners before you put them into situations that could cause them harm. Well, with that, I think I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Make sure when you're buying your sinners, you double check, triple check the conditions they've been in before you purchase them. And I'll hopefully see you all later. Bye!